Hey Joe, why do you use quilts when you wrap your horse's legs?
I'm glad you asked. I had a lot of people asking me why we use quilt under our wraps. For reining, it's really important to protect their knees. We teach our horses to turn, and they have to do a movement from the outside going over with the inside front. And while it's a maneuver that requires a range of motion, we want to protect that knee with a quilt. Not that they hit their knee necessarily, but it's like a football player will put a gear on to protect himself while he plays football. A little bit with that type of mindset. And my goal through our training is very important that I keep my horses sound and healthy, and I do everything that I can to protect their legs from being injured. So I put a quilt under my wrap, especially for my 2-year-old that I start to turn a lot, that they learn to do the movement. And also for my 3-year-old, when they become 4-year-old and they have a little bit of a better understanding of the turn, I'll probably go to one quilt instead of two. And eventually, if there are days that I don't really turn, I'm not going to put a quilt at all. But it's really for protection. And I'll show you how we wrap them and how we use a quilt under our wrap. So wrapping them with a quilt is great protection for the knee. And it really helps them protect the back of the knee and the front of the knee in the turnaround for us reiners. But if a quilt is put on wrong, it can be more damaging than not having one at all. So I'm very, very picky, and I really spend a lot of time teaching my girls here to know how to wrap because it is so important that it's done properly. One of the things to look for, you don't want to wrap and have a fold. So if you have a fold and then you're putting on your quilt and you put your wrap on top of that, it can create some pressure, some friction, and you can damage your horse's leg and damage some tendon just by adding some extra stress there. So super important that there's no fold on your quilt. And also super important that you don't do a big tight pressure, again, to squeeze that tendon. And then you ride for an hour and you just have a lot of pressure on that tendon, and that defeats the purpose. This is supposed to protect the knee, supposed to bring nice cushion and support the suspensory. So we got to make sure that we do this properly. So I'm going to show you how to do it here on Lisa. So first, it's just a good habit. You go wrap your horse's leg, run your hand on the horse's tendon, run your hand on the back of the ankle. Is there any scratches, any bumps, or anything unusual? You need to be able to do that as a routine to just be a good horseman and make sure your horse's leg is nice and clean. Now the quilt, I'm going to start it in the middle of the cannon bone and the tendon. And I'm going to go nice and smooth all the way around that leg until I know I cover the top of the knee and also the back where the bony part is. Now here with my wrap, I'm going to come to the inside under the quilt. And again, make sure that there's no fold. I go around, I go under the ankle, come create my little X in the front. I go, again, under the ankle, create my little X, and I do a little snug here towards the top. I never do it towards the back. And then I go back around all the way to the top. And I like to go pretty high under the knee to make sure that it keeps that quilt from falling down when I ride. So now I have my nice X here. I've got a distance here that's going to protect the front and the back. So when she crosses over, for example, for a right turnaround, this is nicely protected. There's nice support and there's nice tension here, enough to where, it keeps everything at the right spot. But again, I didn't pull against the tendon, and I was really conscious that I didn't have any fold. Right here in the front of that leg, I go around and I go over it, and then I stop right here on the side. And I stop here because I want to know where the end of my duct tape is. That way, somebody's unsaddling your horse and we're kind of in the flow and things got to go. They know exactly where that tape ends, and they can be more efficient taking a horse's wrap and unsaddling your horse. So it sounds silly, but makes a difference. So I go here, around. And again, not too tight so you don't create friction. On my tape, I make a little corner. That way, again, it's easy for the next person to use that tape. And now you have a nice wrap that protects your horse and efficient for the next person to take off when we're ready to get to the next horse.